Hello everybody, it is I, as always, Ryan, and next update of Auromon. This should be a quicker one just because I only have about 3 creatures to go over, but they're pretty cool nonetheless. So, these are some creatures we put together on stream, so if you missed the stream, be sure to join the Discord to get notifications when I go live again, and come on down and chat, because it was a good time. Anyway, yeah, so I think the whole beginning of the book is set. Like, I think you can play this game right now with people in your play group if they're interested, and if they are, let me know, please. Because I just like updates on how the game works and functions, you know, because I don't still working on getting my play group together to play test this game myself, and then if we do that, we maybe might make a new episode series. We'll see. On other news, quick, I want to get this out of the way in the beginning. If anybody enjoys just Pokemon and not Dungeons and Dragons, because this channel was originally made with both, and if you're still hanging around because you enjoy Pokemon, on the Discord, I just released a notification saying I'm going to potentially be doing some Let's Plays with some people soon coming up, specifically just with Pokemon. So some being maybe developing it's my own version of a Nuzlocke called Dungeon Lock, and I'll explain more of that when that time comes. But what I'm asking for is nicknames. So if you have about 5 Pokemon that you like or enjoy, or maybe your 5 favorite that on the Discord you want to just drop down what the Pokemon is and the nickname for it. That way when we play, we'll have nicknames to name Pokemon after we find, if it's one of the ones you ask for. So that could be really cool, and you get to see us play with them. All that stuff will be up on YouTube. So if you're not already on YouTube, head on over, subscribe. It's free, doesn't cost anything to do so, and if you don't like it, you can always unsubscribe later. So it's a great way, and then you get notified, hey, if a new episode of the Nuzlocke comes out, or a new episode of another Pokemon. I have about 2 different game ideas right now I have in place for the Pokemon aspect of what to do with the YouTube if you're watching on YouTube. So definitely something to look forward to. And if you're not in the Discord or don't have a Discord, and you want to drop in the comments on this video, or whatever platform you're listening on, your 5 favorite Pokemon and nicknames, and if they're the first ones that nobody else has taken, I'll jot them down on my Excel sheet and keep track of everything. So with that being said, let's get into Auromon here. Back to the project. So yeah, as I've been going through getting more and more creatures and art and stuff, I have almost all the art done. Like I've always said, I typically sound like a broken record now, for all of the creatures of CR0. So all it takes then is just making a lot of stat blocks. And after that, then I'm going to the next piece, which is, okay, CR1 8th, and then 1 4th, and so forth. And then pretty soon, all the creatures for the beginning of the Auromon book will be in here. And that'll be huge, because literally once all the creatures are done, then you can play this right now with your friends, right? The only difference is your cards won't be able to evolve, or you won't have stats yet for their evolutions. But it's going to take a while to accrue those anyway. So I look at it as, if you start playing, you can start playing today with just printing off a normal D&D sheet and have another separate sheet of paper for your deck list, and you'll be good to go. At some point, I think I might know of a way to make a template, so that way people could just print off the template and have their own set of sheets with all the rules for this mode on it, which could be huge for getting people to play at home at their home tables. So I look forward to trying to do that at some point. So anyway, get into this here. So we got 3 new creatures to talk about today, and then I'll show you the preview for one that's coming. So this is Hornacles. So Hornacles is a large beast. He's lawful good. His armor class is 15, hit points of 80. He is the evolution of the regular deer in D&D, right? So take your regular deer, bam, collect a bunch of copies, becomes Hornacles. Stat blocks are there if you want to see the stats of 15, 16, all that. Saving throws a +5 to strength. He's a big deer. Athletics +4 because run really quick. Damage resistance is psychic, and we'll get into that in a second. Past perception is 14, doesn't speak no language. Challenge rating 3, right? Every creature is going to have, when it evolves, at between CR 0s to 1, no matter what it is, 1 4th, 1 8th, whatever, they all become CR 3. First evolution, and then hopefully CR 5 is the second evolution. So, alright. Key card ability, Tracking of the Forest. After being your key card for 24 hours, it gives the Auromancer advantage on survival checks to be able to follow tracks of previous creatures and people that have traveled through the area in the past week. So if you're hunting down a escaped criminal, or you're trying to follow the big bad, or going after somebody, if you're there for 24 hours, he can help you follow tracks on where to go to be able to find them if they've traveled through this area within a week. And I think that's cool, like a utility kind of Auromon, you know? Horn magic, any attack Hornacles makes sure that its antlers are considered to be magical. For reference, right? This is an evolution of a common CR0 rarity creature, right? So it's not going to be the most game-breaking of stats and abilities, but nonetheless, still useful, right? It's a large beast. You as a player could ride on it. It's a mount, so that helps. A speed of 60 feet, I should specify that. Okay, actions. Hornacles makes 2 bite attacks, plus 5 to hit, 1d8 plus 2 piercing, that twice, or Antler Strike, plus 5 to hit 10 feet, because if you look at him, he's about 5 feet tall himself, and his antlers are at least another 5 feet, so he can reach about 10. And it deals 2d8 plus 6 magical piercing or magical slashing, Hornacles' choice. So that way it's some form of magical damage, because creatures, as they get stronger, are going to be more resistant to non-magical attacks. So that at least lets the basic deer be able to do a magical attack of sorts. So, a little lore about him here. Hornacles, the almighty antler Auromon. As the smaller male deer aged and grew in the woods, it was always picked on by the other male deer of its herd for its short size and barely noticeable horns. This picking continued until one day the little male deer ran off crying away from its herd. While it was running away, it noticed a faint astral light shine off in the distance of the woods. He went towards it looking for some comfort, as his own herd was always against him. As he ran into the astral-colored light, it shined all over him and lifted the deer in the air. He heard a voice sing to him, as the voice from the gods blessed the deer, as he rose into the air and glowed a bright pink color. He felt his head start to get heavy and his body grow in size. This blessing allowed the little deer to have its horns grow in power and extend in a multitude of directions. In addition, its body grew to the size of some of the ancient deer his herd mates would speak of when discussing legends. His newfound antlers beamed a bright, radiant color and were weightless upon its head. These horns allowed the little deer the ability of magical damage when attacking and defending itself. It also gave it a slight protection from any sorts of psychic damage that could harm it, due to the gods wanting to protect him from others picking on him. Right, so no name calling, it's how you get the resistance to psychic damage, things like that. So this blessing let the deer sense those that have entered the area around it, and as such is able to follow tracks made by them in the time of up to a week previous. The deer is able to trust its Auromancer after being with it for 24 hours, and as such can inform the Auromancer of where tracks lead to. So, basically just talking about the deer, a little story on how like the average deer became a Hornacles through divine blessing, and bam, here it is. Now it's got magical horns, and I think it came out great. I think the art looks really cool. I love how it's going around the horns. I think the background looks great, so this kind of playing card would be pretty cool to see. Okay, so it's Hornacles. Let's get into the next one. Guardian of the Skies here. I'm going to, you probably see we've got a bunch of stuff here. I'm going to show you guys pictures of these up close here, so just give me a second. Okay, so to show those that are watching on YouTube, a bigger image of what it looks like. So that's what Hornacles looks like, right? So instead of seeing like the little picture on the book, you know, and I'm pretty sure I'll be able to fit the 3 pictures on the thumbnail for this episode. So you'll be able to see it just by looking at the thumbnail. But if you're on YouTube and you want to watch and see it in the best detail, full screen, here it is. So this is Hornacles here. I love how like the textures on his horns came out, plus like the magical glow around to symbolize his magical damage, and how his horns just grew. And yeah, so I think that came out pretty good. I'm gonna get the next one up. Aya, Guardian of the Skies here. So I'm gonna show you a full screen picture of Aya first. So here's Aya here. As you see, she's kind of like this eagle-looking female, and look into her stats now. So Aya is a medium humanoid beast. What? Yeah, she's two. She's a humanoid and a beast. She's a humanoid, but also an animal? Yes. She's lawful good. AC of 14, hit points of 65, speed of 30 feet, and she's a flying speed of 60 feet. Her stats are there. Saving throws is +3 in strength because she's pretty strong. So she's got some skills. So this is an uncommon rarity creature of being an eagle. It's the evolution of eagle. Let's see here. I'm just going to check real quick. Just to confirm, better be safe than sorry. Yep. Okay, so right there on the uncommons is baboon and eagle. And then giant fire beetle is the next one we'll talk about, hopefully next episode. But eagle. So eagle is the second uncommon, right? So the first uncommon we talked about was Bimorph Baboon, and his unique special ability that I think helped define him more than a regular common is by having that extra reactive tentacles, right? So he gains an extra reaction that can be used for opportunity attacks to allow you to use Tentacle Whip twice instead of once when someone's trying to leave your area. So he gets to hit very hard when someone's trying to leave twice instead of only attacking once if someone leaves your area. So she'll have a unique special ability here I'll show you in a second too. So she's got a few skills she's proficient in. Animal handling as a +5, athletics is +3, intimidation of +3, and perception of +6 because eagles can see pretty good. And yeah, the actual starting eagle already had a skills of a perception of +4. So I just upped it to +6 for her. She's vulnerable to lightning because she is part eagle. She is a bird pretty much. She resists damage from ranged attacks that aren't silvered. So something to note, right? Ranged weapon attacks, excuse me, that aren't silvered. So if someone's trying to use a bow and arrow, or somebody's character's bow and arrow trying to shoot at her, we're resistant damage because it's not silvered. She's immune to force damage. She can't be pushed by force. Condition immunity. She can't be feared, frightened, paralyzed, or stunned. Basically anything that kind of like inhibits her attacks and her movements because she strikes fast like an eagle. And you'll hear all about her story coming up. So passive perception of 15. She speaks common in Auran and will A-U-R-A-N. I think it's Auran. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, but we'll get into that in a second too. So her key card ability is Bird Protector. After being your Auromon for 24 hours, you're able to understand how feathered creatures speak and can communicate with them. So basically, if a wild creature has feathers of some sort, bam, you can talk with it, you can do stuff with it, etc. Doesn't necessarily have to be a bird because there are some creatures that aren't birds that have feathers on them. And yeah, it'd be good to go there. Okay, so her special ability for combat and fighting wise that makes her an uncommon is Beast Hunt. When Aya, Guardian of the Sky, makes an attack against a beast, the damage is always treated as a critical hit. So we get to start to see some more of the gaming elements of this, right? Besides just it being, hey, here's a new creature in the world of D&D, here's some more gaming elements, right? So if this fights an opponent's creature who is a beast, when she rolls to hit and does damage, the damage is always critical. I think it's a really step up of it, comparing an uncommon to a common card, right? Keen Sight, this is something that the regular eagle had, so Aya, Guardian of the Sky, has advantage on wisdom perception checks that rely on sight. Multi-attack, Aya, Guardian of the Sky makes 2 Talon Bracer attacks, and her Talon Bracers are simply these spikes that are coming out of her arms there. Instead of her having regular talons, they're just on her arms there. And again, +5 to hit, 5 feet, 1d8 +2 slashing. So her unique new attack that she got from evolving is that sword in her hand. So Sword of Wind and Sky. Melee weapon attack +6 to hit, 5 feet, hits 1 target. Hits for 2d8 +2 lightning damage and pushes the target 5 feet away from her. If the target's area that removed has another object or person, and if the target is not moved, period. If the target can't move or another object prevents it from moving, it becomes stunned until Aya's next turn. So I think it's a pretty cool ability with a potential stun. So if there's like a horde of enemies coming and you try to hit one of them, well, it can't. The rules say it can't bounce and hit another character, so it stops right there and it just drops stunned until Aya's next turn. Cool. So let's read about Aya here. Aya, Guardian of the Sky, the Sky's protector, Auromon. One day, as an eagle falconer was out practicing with her pet eagle named Aya on a mountain, they came across a trail of eagle feathers. As they followed it, they came into a hole dug out into an abandoned cliffside. With the feathers leading into the hole, the eagle falconer mentioned to Aya that a snake must have taken some local birds back to its home. As Aya flew down to investigate it, she heard a small chirp of a bird inside. As she went inside against her owner's warning, she saw an injured little bird that couldn't leave. Aya's owner begged for her to come out, but she didn't leave the little bird behind. She did her best to ignore what her owner was warning her of as she started to try to drag the baby out. With all of her might, she started to drag out the baby bird as her owner yelled in pain. She knew something must have happened, and with all of her remaining strength, she was able to pull the baby out to find her female owner was on the ground, having a tough time breathing. She stared in awe as her owner had bite marks on her neck and was lacking color in her face. She quickly instructed the injured bird to fly up in the air the best it could to get off the low ground. Aya gazed up into the sky to see the baby bird just able to make it up on a low-hanging branch. The sun was now setting as her owner asked if Aya could stay with her, which Aya nodded yes. Her owner explained weakly there were They were so far from town that help wouldn't make it in time if Aya was to leave her. As her owner laid there with Aya by her side, she was telling her trusted eagle weakly how great of a bird she was to her and to never give up trying to save others. As her owner took her last breath, Aya started to cry. Her tears were interrupted by a few hissing sounds from inside her owner's clothes. She saw 3 snakes come out of the glove her owner was wearing. They were headed now towards the injured baby bird on the low-hanging branch. In fear, she flew up in the air and was struck by the light of the astral night sky that shined down on her owner. As the astral light touched her, her wings started to grow and possess traits of a human. This new form, while human in design, allowed her to speak Auron, the language from the elemental plane of air, in common, as her owner once had. She now was holding a sword that shimmered in the night sky. As she looked at the snake that took her owner's life, she raised her new sword up in the air and was able to strike them before they could harm anybody else. She walked over towards the baby bird, and in her hands, she brought it down the mountain to her owner's previous place to help care for it. So that's the story of Aya, Guardian of the Sky. Hopefully it's pretty cool, and I try to think of a little story of something to kind of go along with the art a little bit, right? Because if I'm having somebody custom make drawings of characters, custom make backgrounds for these characters to be in, I want it to be involving the lore and the story a bit behind that character too. Now, you are going to see some backgrounds be used again, such as the forest background for Hornacles, etc. Because if I can do that and have it be the same thing and just reuse it, I think it looks pretty good and is able to be continued to be used. So for hers, it was pretty unique having the snakes there, but nonetheless, I think it's really cool for her. And then finally, we get into our third and final creature of this week's quick episode here. Viru, the Psionic Frog. So for those that don't know, Viru always comes down and hangs out in stream, and so he was talking with me, and we ended up naming a character after him. So definitely come on down to the stream if you got time and you want to have one of your creatures be put in the book, because someday this will hopefully get released, and you'll be able to show your playgroup, listen, that guy's named after me. I helped the creator make it. So Viru, the Psionic Frog. Tiny beast, chaotic good. This one I just finished putting together, so if there's a few errors in spelling and wording and stuff, I'll take a look afterwards, but I just had to get this video done. So armor class of 12, HP of 50. That seems kind of weak, Ryan, on the scale of creatures. Yeah, no, it is, but it's for a reason here. So saving throw is intelligence +2. Skills is acrobatics +4, insight +4, because he's like a frog, so he could jump and dodge things pretty well. An insight being a +4, he can figure out and look into things deeply, and you'll hear about Viru's story coming up here. So he's vulnerable to acid, but he's immune to psychic. So other things to note. Condition immunity, he can't be charmed, frightened, or grappled because he's a little frog, so he can't be grappled, and he can't be scared or charmed because he does stuff with the mind, and you'll see that coming up here. So he senses. He's our first character with tremor sense, so he can sense the area around him of up to 10 feet if something's there invisible or not. So that's pretty cool. And past perception of 15. Language. Speaks in language spoken to it telepathically. So if you try to talk with it, it will respond back in your respective language telepathically. So Viru's special keycard ability, Psionic Leap. After your Auromon for 24 hours, this allows the Oromancer when I gotta change that from Henry to say Viru there because we were discussing different names for, and eventually Viru wanted to have his name be there, which is totally awesome. So I just had to fix that quick thing. Like I said, might be some other stuff I have to fix, but after your Auromon for 24 hours, this allows the Oromancer when holding Viru to have him pick them and one other person up in the air, at least 10 feet up, and can travel up to 100 feet in any direction in the air, and then land. I'm going to do land safely, because that sounds kind of painful. And land safely. So, yeah. No, he's not like throwing you. It's not like, whoosh. No, he picks you up and basically lets you float, which I think super helpful. Trying to cross gorges, trying to cross broken down places, trying to catch people that maybe have traveled far away. Very nice. So land safely. I'm gonna say once per short rest. That way that people aren't like just doing this continuously and break it. So spellcasting. Viru the Psionic Frog's initial spellcasting ability is intelligence. Spell save of DC 12 +4 to hit with spell attacks. Can cast the following spells. At will, message, vicious mockery, and 1 per day he can cast counterspell, sleep, and phantasmal force. So he's got Counterspell, which is really interesting. Because if an Auromancer across the way tries to cast a spell and forgets that Viru knows Counterspell, he basically just made them skip their entire turn. Which is huge in the game because spells are super strong in the game. So, action, multi-attack. Viru the Sonic Frog makes 2 leg attacks. So, make leg attacks just like bite attacks. Usually things around CR3 has multi-attack and can make 2 attacks usually, and then yeah, so leg is simply +5, 1d8 bludgeoning, simple, nothing too special. But then he's got another action called Viru Strike, his unique new attack, right? Okay, Frog had no attacks, so the fact that I gave him leg and now Viru Strike is, I think, pretty good. Viru Strike, so Viru targets one creature can see within 30 feet of it. If the target can see Viru, it must make a DC 12 intelligence saving throw. If it fails, it takes 1d6 of psychic damage for every point of intelligence it has below 14. If it succeeds, it takes half damage. Which, he's probably one of our like strongest glass cannons, right? Only 50 hit points, 12 AC. But yeah, I understand. Intelligence below 4 for every point, a d6 below 14. So even if you're 10, that's 46. Assuming you failed the intelligence save. If you do, then it's only half. But that might be too strong. If people know a lot of stuff with numbers and crunching things in the comments, let me know, because I will proceed to fix it. But for example, not many people have like a full intelligence score. Like Hornacles has 6. Right, so if this thing fights Hornacles, Hornacles fails on his int save, he'll take 8d6. Because that's below 14. So that's 8. And 8d6 is quite strong. Quite strong indeed. So maybe I'll make it a d4. Now that I'm thinking about it more, I might make it be a d4. Because a lot of things are below 6, or a lot of things are below, and 14, right? Even if it's 10, that still would be 44 psychic damage. Which, 44 psychic damage isn't like a ton, but 44 is really the same as 2d8. So, and it depends, right? If you're fighting something that's really intellectual, then it's going to take a lot versus something that's not. I'm trying to see if you have anything else that's like pretty intellectual creature. I mean, like the town mob is like 12 and everything, right? So the town mob would only take 2d4 from that attack, which is not a lot at all. You know, like Kitten, and the Bad Sea of Darkness only has 4 for his int, so he'll take 10d4 psychic. So it's a swing and miss, right? It's basically like a high risk, high reward. And if they save, they take half. So let's read about Viru quick, the psychic frog. Viru grew up just like any other frog in the local lake of the Royal Kingdom. He noticed as his other frogs were leaving the lake more and more by the day due to them not liking what the court wizard was doing with his magical residue from his spells. He wanted to investigate what was going on. As he was hopping out, he followed the court wizard to his lab. Once he entered the lab, he noticed all the chemicals around and spilled all over the floors. He was doing his best to avoid them, but every once in a while a drop of acid would spill down from a counter and burn his skin. As he jumped up onto the bookcase, a couple of books fell, which caused Viru to lose his footing, and he fell right into a batch of chemicals the wizard was cooking. He tried to swim out of it as he began to choke on the chemicals. As he was now sinking to the bottom, he remembered his other frogs he grew up with and was sad he couldn't put a stop to the chemicals that were polluting his home. A faint astral light coated his eyes as he sank to the bottom of the beaker. As the wizard turned around, he witnessed something that caused his mouth to drop open. The little frog known as Viru was now slowly rising up out of the chemicals. I can't even read what I wrote here. Sorry. It started slowly rising up out of the chemicals. Out of the chemical-filled water. So I threw the word astral in there, and I was like, what is this chemical-filled water? His small feelers on his head grew in size, and he developed a small sail structure that came out of his back. The wizard exclaimed that he'd never seen something like this before, but alas, he must destroy it, for if the king found out, he'd be executed for doing experiments on the side instead of his job. As he was weaving his hands together, he said he was sorry, but he had to kill the little frog. As he started to swell with fire in his hands, Viru's eyes flashed, and the fire immediately subsided. Viru went into the mind of the wizard and in a booming voice uttered to not harm any of the other creatures in the lake again and to end his wasteful magic. The wizard quivered and ran out of the lab after hearing Viru's voice inside his head. So, with that, that's a little stuff about Viru. I'm going to finish adding a little bit more words maybe to the bottom, just talking about, you know, how we can help teleport and float around. Basically, he's like a creature that goes into the mind of people, and it's got this now psionic energy as a gift from the chemicals and this astral light, which won't spoil yet, but maybe there's something that has to do with that as a higher level creature that blesses things and makes things become Auromon and things like that. So okay, so I'll just repeat myself. Sorry about that. We got Ingvar, Lord of the Fire Beetles, coming hopefully next week, and we'll be able to see what other art I get before then. I wanted to showcase the other things we got here. So I want to show you guys. If I have a picture here, I have its previous form as well. So I'm going to show you guys the deer here, the art for deer, because I think it's cool. So remember, those things won't be in this book, right? But they will be on the playing cards. So at the end of the day, I do need art for them. So here is deer here, and if obviously watching YouTube, you'll be able to see. So I think we're checking out a little bit there. So that's what the deer will look like. I think that guy looks pretty darn cool. Little deer, and then he becomes our friend Hornacles. So that's cool. That just got stuff from my college up there. Okay, next things. That's the deer evolution. I think eagle came out cool too. Eagle I just got like the other day. I mean, Carl definitely puts out pictures quick, which I like a lot. Very good guy to work with. Let's see. Okay, sorry, I just haven't saved like the original evolutions because I haven't needed them yet because they're not on cards yet. So let me get eagle here. This is eagle. I think eagle came out awesome. This is the pre-form of Aya, by the way. So this will be on the playing card for eagle with the birds in the back and on the mountainside, and then bam, becomes Aya here. But that's cool with the dead snakes and her sword. Okay. And then the last one being frog, which I do have. So let me get frog here. And this is the basic frog. This is before Viru here. I think it looks really good. I think, you know, going from this to then becoming Viru, I think is pretty good, right? So, yeah, the little guy, little feelers on his head, looks like a normal frog, right? And then, bam, he becomes this guy. Viru. But I think it's cool. I like the idea of having like a psychic frog, kind of inspired by Hypnotoad from Futurama, a little bit, right? So being able, I think, have counterspell and being able to deal a lot of psychic damage, I think really sets him apart as being like a stronger common than other things. But with that being said, just to do some quick recaps on things, if you're not in the Discord already and you want to be in the Discord, the link's obviously down below. We are a growing group and always happy to have new people that come down that love D&D, that love Pokemon, that just love talking with people in general. A great spot to go. You'll see me always be sharing Dungeons & Dragons and memes all the time while I'm there. And now, like I said, if you want to drop your nicknames for your like up to five favorite Pokemon for right now, that way if we ever run into them in the upcoming, hopefully I say hopefully because we'll see, Pokemon Let's Plays that are coming hopefully to the YouTube channel, and you want to check that out, then definitely, like I said, go on YouTube, subscribe, so you'll get a notification when a new video comes up every week, or if I go live. I'm live on YouTube and I'm live on Twitch, so definitely a spot to come on down and see me. And with that being said, I think that's pretty much it. Like I said, next time we're going Ingvar, another uncommon. I'm starting to get some cool ideas for him. He might break the deck limit rules a little bit with the idea I have for Ingvar so far, so see how that goes. And let me take a look at the list. I could say we're gonna have Ingvar, and I can tell you at least one other one we should hopefully have. Look, I've just been going right down the list of CR0s, right? So and Fire Beetle, woof, I spelled beetle really wrong there. If you guys ever see spelling errors and things in this that I have to fix, please let me know, because there's a lot of words here. There's a lot of stuff. Despite growing up and learning English my whole life, I'm not the best with English. So if you definitely see like dramatic spelling errors, have questions on words, drop them in the comments on below. Let me know on Discord, please, so I can fix it and make this look professionally good for people. So like I said, so Horn Beetle of Flame, which is going to be Ingvar. Lord of the Fire Beetles. I just recently came up with the idea Ingvar, so he has to be changed in certain areas here, so I'll just put Ingvar for now. Lord of the Fire Beetles. Okay, so next thing. Oh, next week you'll be able to see Ingvar. I saw the background today for I have the picture for the demonic sacrificial goat, but I got the picture of the creature, right? And then I sent it to my guy to give me special backgrounds, Carl. So the background that Carl has for that I think looks so good. Like the horror backgrounds he does, I think are amazing. Like if you're still watching, still listening, right? YouTube, like I think that just the background for the hands of the damned, right? Like that seal and the blood and then being able to be in like a mausoleum design. Oh, I think it just looks so good. The sacrificial goat one's gonna look pretty good too. So I'm hyped for that. That looks good. So being said, yeah, I don't normally do many posts on Instagram as far as updates on things. I usually do like a weekly post and things like that. But definitely, if you know this project and you know of anybody else that's interested in the project, be sure to share it, even with your local DM, and like say, hey, I know this project's still upcoming, but what do you think of it? And you guys could potentially run a game or something of yourself at home. And yeah, with that being said, I will hopefully, it's nighttime for you, have a good night. It's nighttime for you, have a good day. And with that, I'll catch you guys all in the future. All right, see ya.